before I call the meeting to order. Father, we come to you today with grateful hearts. We thank you for this time. We thank you for this time and season that we're in, Father. Today we pray for your wisdom over this board meeting. We pray for your wisdom with our decision makers, our management. Father, we thank you for your blessings over this county. We thank you for all that it is that you're setting into place today for the future. And we give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor in the name of Jesus. Amen. I'd like to call the Henry County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We will begin with our human resources presentation.
Good morning, Madam Board Chair, distinguished board members. It's an honor to stand before you today and present a resolution for a employee pay increase.
So we can't hear you.
Testing. Can you hear me now? Testing.
We can hear you.
I'll start from the beginning. Good morning, Madam Board Chair, distinguished board members. It's an honor to stand before you today to present a resolution on behalf of the Henry County employees as it relates to a pay increase. Today, myself, along with the Assistant Director of Budgets, Ms. Bernita Campbell, will present the presentation to you all. And we ask that we're allowed the opportunity to go through the presentation, and then we'll open it up for Q&A shortly thereafter. As you all know, Henry County is the 9th largest county in the state of Georgia. Recent trends have shown neighboring counties as well are very competitive with their recruitment and retention efforts. And those neighboring counties are big and small. Market data studies show that pay ranks as high as the 3rd or 4th reason people leave their jobs. And I want to put special emphasis on neighboring counties because they can be big or small, but the recruitment and retention efforts are very competitive out there. As a result, the Department of Human Resources requested a financial analysis from our Department of Financial Services. Ms. Campbell and her team did just that, and we wanted to come up with what we felt would be an economically feasible pay increase for all eligible employees. Based on their analysis, 10.5% would be a sustainable pay increase, and that pay increase could be absorbed through the remaining FY22 budget. Ms. Campbell will be able to speak on that in a short minute or so. In addition, the study revealed that we'll be able to sustain our 2% COLA as well as our 1% longevity increase for all employees without negatively impacting fund balance. Economist states that with the inflation rates being at an all-time high, and it is at an all-time high, it's the highest in 40 years to be exact, that if an employee does not receive an increase of a minimum of 5.4%, he or she is essentially coming to work taking a pay cut. These next few slides are going to be slides related to our pay scale. We're going to look at our current pay scale, and we're going to look at our proposed pay scale as it relates to the 10.5% increase. This is our current pay scale. Horizontally, you'll have the actual years of service, which are 35 years, and vertical, you'll have the different pay grades. I want us to pay close attention on pay grades 4 through 6 and pay grade 16. And we'll talk about pay grade 16 in a little bit. But 4 through 6 are pay grades that are under 30,000 as a starting pay for someone who has no experience. Unfortunately, we have 90 employees that are making under $30,000. And when you look at that from an inflation analysis, and you go back to 1997, and let's say for pay grade 1, for example, the pay grade is $26,530. If you look at that pay in 1997, with the inflation rate on average is 2.29%, rounded off to 2.3%, we've accumulated a cost increase of about 72% over that period of time, which means that individual in 1997 that makes $26,000 should be at $46,000 now in terms of buying power. When you look at the proposed pay scale, our pay grade 1 would be at $29,000. And again, when you look at $29,000 and you do the same inflation analysis from 1997 to current, that person should be at a pay rate of at least $51,000 by now. So we have 90 employees who are under $30,000 who are trying to make ends meet. Let's look at the financial impact. I stated earlier that from a partial year impact standpoint, this pay increase would be sustainable, and it's just under $6.6 million. It's $6,570,000 to be exact. If you look at the full year impact, it's right at $13.1 million. Remember earlier I talked about neighboring counties, I talked about big counties and small municipalities. But not only do we have to worry about neighboring counties, we have to worry about internal counties. We have to worry about the city of Locust Grove being competitive, the city of Hampton, the city of McDonough. And if we want to use a neighboring county that's just 91,000 in residency, we can use Rockdale. So I talked about pay grade 16 as well. And with pay grade 16, we have 319 employees that are of a pay grade 16. Common positions of pay grade 16s are planner 1s, building inspector 1s, firefighter EMTs, and police officers. If you look at our current pay based on this salary comparison, when it comes to planner 1s, we are 4th out of the 5 that we're comparing against: the city of Locust Grove, Rockdale County, city of Hampton, city of McDonough. When you look at building inspector pay grade, we're number 2 behind the city of Locust Grove, but there's a $7,000 difference in pay, where they're starting out at $50,000 and we're starting out at $43,434 at a pay grade 16. When you look at the firefighter chart, we should be leading the way there because we have 16 fire stations. Rockdale has 9, McDonough has 2. However, when you look at our pay from a national level, we're still not at the national average when it comes to beginning firefighter and EMTs. The national average is $48,410. When you look at police officers, we're number 2 right now behind Hampton in starting pay at the pay grade 16. However, I want us to keep in mind that Stockbridge has a police station that they have to outfit too. So that'll be more competition in these communities that we serve. So with the proposed pay increase, the scale will be upgraded. And with that upgrade, if you look, the beginning salary for pay grade 16 will be at $47,955. If you look at the national average of police officers' entry pay, it's $48,430 or so. So we're just under the national average. If you look at firefighters' national pay, with this new updated proposed salary, will be at $47,955, as I stated, but will still be under the national average of beginning firefighters at $48,410. Building inspectors, we still have a ways to go because the national average there is $54,498. And planner ones will have a net gain of maybe $400 because the starting salary for a planner one is $47,500 or so, the national average. So, with the proposed pay scales increase, look at how we fare against the competitors now. With the planning position, we would come in number one. With the building inspector position, we still would come in number two, but the difference would not be as large, with the city of Locust Grove starting out at $50,000 and with us starting out at $47,955. When you look at the fire department, we'll continue to lead the way. And when you look at the police department, we will then take the lead over our contemporaries at Hampton. We have 1,637 full-time employees. 974 are residents of Henry County. That's 974 citizens. That's 974 constituents. That's 974 voters who wants to not only live in Henry County, but work in Henry County. Remember in the second or third slide, we talked about pay being ranked third or fourth in terms of reasons people leave. The Department of Human Resources did a deeper dive in our separations, and we looked at separations from July 2019 to the present. And we came up and we realized that there's approximately 765 separations we've completed. 554 of those separations were a result of resignations. So when we took the 554, we took an additional sample size and looked at 151 exit interviews. The reasons for leaving vary on this exit interview slide. However, out of the 151, 48 of the employees left for better pay. So before we get into Q&A, I would like this distinguished board to hear my pledge on behalf of the Henry County employees, hear my plea to you as executive elected officials of this great county, and hear my cry for humanity. And my cry for humanity in particular is in reference to those 90 employees that make under $30,000. Those employees won't get a break at the gas pump. Those employees won't get a discount at the grocery store. Those employees won't get a discount with their utility bills. Those employees won't get a discount with their rent. Those employees will not get a discount with their mortgage. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cooper, was someone else going to come up and do a presentation with regards to the financial piece of it?
Ms. Campbell is to the right of me, and I'll yield to her at this time.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and Henry County community. As a part of the proposed 10.5% pay increase, Financial Services was asked to do an analysis on this pay increase. And we took a look and projected out revenues, future revenues, based on what we know our year-over-year revenue growth to be in our expense pattern. And we've determined that it is economically feasible to offer the 10.5% pay increase to employees. And all of this can be done without a property tax rate millage increase, no negative impacts to our fund balance, and we can continue to provide the annual 2% COLA and 1% longevity to employees, which I know have been priorities for the county manager and the board. So our analysis determines that this is economically feasible.
Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
1 second. Does that complete the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Commissioner Holmes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if that financial analysis was accurate, or if we can lean on that financial analysis, because we can't predict the future. We can't predict where the economy is going to go. A 13.2 increase, that money is going to have to come from somewhere. It's going to have to come next year. It's going to have to come from either a 2 mil tax increase on the citizens, or it's going to come from us cutting jobs in order to bring the budget down to, in order to match our expenditures. So I'm just trying to figure out how is this going to be sustainable, and how are we going to continue to fund a $13.2 million increase to our budget? Because you're taking this money out of fund balance, that's just a one-time hit. If this money is from COVID, that's a one-time hit. How do we sustain this without increasing taxes on the citizens? Especially if there's a downturn in the economy, which many predict because of the inflation. This seems a little irresponsible to me.
I'm going to yield to Ms.
Someone
Campbell.
else? Okay.
So Commissioner Holmes, to answer your question, the initial payment would come out of fund balance, but we would be able to sustain it through our operational revenues and expenses without increasing the property tax millage rate. And while you're right, we don't know what future revenues are going to be. We have to look historically, and we know what our year-over-year collections have been, and so that's been pretty consistent. So that allows us to be able to project forward what we think our future revenues will be, and we know what our expense pattern has been. So we're able to come up with an analysis to say that this is economically feasible.
So we had a similar presentation a few months ago when we were talking about the T-SPLOS and funding roads. And I can't remember who gave the presentation, but someone said that we have money in our general fund to resurface subdivisions, but we haven't had a subdivision resurface since that presentation. So are we still going to be able to resurface roads in subdivisions that really need the help? Or, I mean, there are a lot of needs in this county, and increasing taxes on our citizens is definitely not the way we should be going right now.
Commissioner Holmes, the question in regards to the resurfacing of the subdivisions, we have several subdivisions that are currently underway in terms of resurfacing. We utilize our current SPLOS revenues, and so that is actually happening through our SPLOS program. The board did allocate some additional funding in our DOT budget in terms of resurfacing, and if you'll recall, we actually have put out quite a few bids for resurfacing. I can provide that list to the board. But one thing I want the board to understand is that certainly we want to make sure that we're not putting this board and future boards in jeopardy of presenting something to you all. I think what our team has done is really look into the future, because that is how we develop budgets. We don't develop the budget based on the current year. We don't allow our staff to provide us budget requests based on that. We have to look at where we believe we're going to be. One of the other things that I want to remind the board is a lot of our budget is driven by property taxes. And this board has approved quite a few residential developments, which will be coming on board in the years to come. And so that is certainly expected revenue that we will expect to receive. So I think, in fairness to staff, their analysis, and we'll be more than happy to share with you where our trends are, how we've looked at it. We would certainly not come to this board and ask you all to vote to support this type of increase if we didn't believe and know, based on the information that we have in front of us, that we could support it not only for the remainder of this fiscal year, but for fiscal years to come forth. The other thing is we certainly would not present to you all anything that would result in us coming back next year to say to you all, hey, we're going to have to lay off employees. That is not what we would do. And our staff definitely would not present anything to you all in that manner.
Sherry, we just started collecting, I think, in November for next year's budget. I don't understand how, we have an analysis that can be that accurate in projecting what we're going to receive next year. It's not even budget season. So, doing a 10% increase out of fund balance, given an unfunded raise of 10.5%, doesn't seem economically responsible for the county to do that. Maybe we should wait until next budget season, see what the collections look like, and then talk about having this increase.
So, Commissioner Holmes, I want to just a couple of things. We actually started our FY22 budget July 1. And so we started collecting in terms of revenues on July 1 of this current year. We are actually in our mid-year budget adjustment, and that's one of the reasons staff has determined, based on our collection rate, that we can afford this increase. The funds are available for us to do this. And we have looked at all of our numbers. Again, we do not budget based on the previous year. We look at previous years. We've looked at the last 3 to 4 years. We've looked at how we've trended. Also, keep in mind, we have additional revenue streams that have come in that can help to offset some of those revenues that we didn't previously receive. That's how we've been able to bring projects back to this board. That's how we've been able to add additional projects to our project list. Keep in mind, a lot of our capital projects are being funded through our capital plans or through our capital funding mechanism. But again, we have grants that we've received. We do have COVID expenses that we've received. Although we will not be utilizing COVID funds for this expense, we'll be utilizing that for the next item on the agenda. But we've done a great job as a county in being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, which is why we're able to present to you all this request. If you'll remember, during the budget cycle this current year, one of the questions I believe you raised is, where are we financially from a fund balance standpoint? And one of the things that we try to make sure that we're doing is that we are setting funds aside so that if we have an opportunity to not only praise our employees, but to give the commissioners additional projects that you all are requesting, that we're able to do that. I hate to say trust what we're telling you, but that is the truth. We have done an analysis. We have the information available. This is not just because we think we're doing good this year. We've looked at previous years, and we are continuing to trend at a high rate. That's how come we're able to put more money back into fund balance, because we are collecting those revenues. And I don't foresee in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years that our revenues are going to decline. Again, with the amount of growth that we have and the amount of growth that we're expected, all we're going to do is be adding additional homes to our tax roll, which will in return assist with those property revenues that we're expecting to collect.
So Sherry, in 2008, growth stopped overnight. That can happen again. And I was here in 2011, and all I remember us doing was increasing the millage rate so we can sustain the budget and cutting jobs. And that's the position I never want to revisit. And if things are so good, why are we pulling the money from our savings account in the middle of the budget cycle? 10.5%. We have never given a 10.5% increase unfunded before in the history of this county.
And Commissioner Holmes, I will agree that we have not. But I also will say this. We have a team, and I'm going to keep saying our financial team, that their job is to constantly look at where we stand from a financial standpoint. 10.5 may seem like a large amount, but go back to the presentation that Mr. Cooper presented. That's just putting a small piece into it. Where we really should be is a lot higher than that. But I also want you all to understand, we have gone through a pandemic and our employees have worked. There are other jurisdictions that have not returned to work. There are jurisdictions that are continuing to work from home. But our employees have continued to put forth the effort with no appreciation of saying, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. I will also say this. It is hard to retain our employees. And I know a lot of commissioners have talked about we need to recruit better. Well, it's hard recruiting when your salaries are not at a level that we can compete with. When we adopted our first class and compensation plan, one of the things that we asked this board is, do you all want to be competitive? And in order for us to be competitive, we have to have salaries that are competitive. If I don't compete with my cities and with our surrounding jurisdictions, we're not going to get the quality of employees that we need and that we want. So Commissioner Holmes, I was here in 2008. I was here when everything flopped. But I will also say to you that I believe that the manner in which we manage our budget is quite different than what it was in 2008. I think in 2008, we all knew that it was coming and no one was prepared for it. And that's why we ended up laying off employees. And that's why some decisions were made that I believe were detrimental to the county. But one thing I can say, and Commissioner Holmes, you were on the board, you helped to set policies going forward where we set aside 30% of our fund balance for emergencies. So we now have policies in place. We have a AAA bond rating. We have financial tools in place to make sure that this will not happen. Commissioner Holmes, I wouldn't stand here and tell you, hey, this is what we're wanting to do, and then come back to you and say we're not going to do it. And I'll say this board has to hold me accountable, not our staff. You all have to hold me accountable, and I wholeheartedly support this and ask that you all trust what we're providing to you all and give us an opportunity to show you that it can be done.
Yeah. I have confidence that you guys are going to do a good job, but at the same time, we cannot predict the economy. We cannot predict what's going to happen in the future. It probably would have been a good idea for you guys to sit down with the board in some type of executive session and discuss this before this hit the news. That's really not a good way for the county to do business. I'm uncomfortable with this, to be honest with you, and I do believe that the employees need an increase, but I'm not sure if this is the way to do it.
Okay. Does any other commissioners have any questions? Okay, Commissioner Wilson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Commissioner.
Okay. Chair, can you tell us how many job openings we have in the county?
Give me a second, Commissioner, and we'll get the number for you. I
right,
can
thank
tell
you.
you, well, let me just, and don't quote me on this, I will tell you that we have approximately 42 job openings available in the county. But I will also tell you that we have 31 vacancies, and it's got to be greater than that. We have 31 vacancies in our DOT department, which is our laborers, the ones that are out here making sure that our roads are taken care of. In our public safety fire department, we have quite a few. I know PD has done a great job on recruitment, so their numbers are lower than it's ever been. But I will tell you that we do have a substantial amount of vacancies, and they are our mission critical positions that we definitely need to get filled.
Between the vacancies and openings, where we at? Where we at in that? Probably what, 100?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Commissioner.
Total, the vacancies. Where you think we at in the vacancies?
So again, I don't have a definitive number. I can tell you we have 41 vacancies in the fire department. We have 31 vacancies in our DOT department. Building, planning, and economic development cluster, we probably have anywhere from 5 to 6. That's our building inspectors, our planners, and The other departments, I'm not sure, but I can definitely get that information to you.
Okay, so in order to us to fill these positions, we're gonna have to give some pay increases because these people are leaving because of pay. Mr. Cooper said that in his presentation. Now, we've contracted services out because we got contract services out now because we don't have enough employees to maintain the grounds of the county as far as DOT right-of-way cuttings, that type of thing. So if we continue the trend of employees leaving because of pay, we will continue to have more contract services out there. Now, that, of course, we all know that's going to cause more money to do that. So with that being said, we have to give this raise to employees to where we can keep these, and very well deserved in every one of these employees. And thank you, Mr. Cooper, for the presentation. So with all that said, I'll support this because I think it's very well needed. But I will ask for us to do the same analysis coming next budget year and present that for the next budget, because it's probably going to be at that point where we may have to readjust this again. So I'm supporting this.
Very good. Thank you.
So Sherry, the one department that you didn't mention, I think it's like about 50 vacancies with the sheriff's department as well.
Oh, okay, yes, 50 in the sheriff, and HR has confirmed that we have 250 vacancies currently.
Okay, thank you. I know that Commissioner Thomas had her hand raised. Commissioner Thomas, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair, I think you've done a great job in presenting here today. And I think numbers can talk either way you want numbers to talk. I will say that. I am concerned about some of the things that were said. One of the things about highlighting the fact that we have so many vacancies and so many people, quote unquote, leaving. If you check the news and you check history, you would know that this is called right now in the United States, the Great Resignations across the whole U.S. This is not a Henry County problem. This is a problem across the United States. Every company is experiencing people leaving. Every company is experiencing trying to keep people there. And even McDonald's is trying to pay $15 an hour. So I don't want it to appear that Henry County has not done their due diligence in taking care of the employees they have. And I don't want it to appear to our employees that we have been neglectful in taking care of them. I don't believe that. I cannot believe that. So I do not want to say, so first, before I get started, everybody needs to understand this is not an isolated problem. This is a problem across the entire nation. And companies from all over struggling as to how to attract employees, how to keep them, and what to do. And dollars are not the ones that they have identified. Identifying that need is what we have to do, but it is not totally around raising dollars and funds. So that's not true. The second thing I want to ask you about, you mentioned our class and compensation plan. When did that take place?
It was approximately 3 years ago.
Approximately 3 years ago. And during that class and compensation study, what was the purpose of it?
It was for us to evaluate all of our positions. At the time, we had a number of duplicated position titles. We had employees whose salary was not comparable to the market, and the county had not done a class and compensation study. And so it was really to try to get us in line with where we needed to be from a county standpoint. But it was also understood that the county was not looking to go above and beyond what that average rate or what the average rates were for the positions. And so, Commissioner, one of the things that the resolution included is that we would periodically look at those positions, which we have continued to do. We have looked at positions. There are positions that have been reclassified. But I want to say this, and I know you asked me a question, but I have to say this to you, Commissioner. I agree. This is a nationwide issue, but I can't fix the nationwide issue. I'm here to represent Henry County government. And for me, the issue is making sure that we take care of our employees. When you call and you have an issue at a park or a pothole, our employees are out. They're doing what needs to be done. If it's after hours, before hours, you all can't come before me and our staff and say things aren't getting done. And it's getting done by these employees that are here that have stuck through everything. When I tell you I have employees that are leaving to make $50 more, they're having to do it. We have laborers that have family of 4 that they're having to work 2 and 3 jobs. And so all we're asking for is let's appreciate and retain the employees that we have. No, we're not trying to paint a grim picture, but one of the things I want this board to understand is that it's about retention. We have over 1,600 employees that through it all, through the Great Depression, through what happened in 2008, through what's happening now, they get up, they come to work, and they show up to do what needs to be done, and they don't complain. The employees didn't come to HR or come to finance and say, we want to make more money or we're walking out. What they said is we're going to continue to give more and do what we need to do to make sure that Henry County is the most desired county to work for. So Commissioner Thomas, with all due respect, I'm worried about Henry County. I can't worry about what's going on at the national level. I want to make sure that we're taking care of our people so that your constituents, when they're calling, you can say, I know our county will get that taken care of.
About Henry County, that's exactly what this board is worried about, Henry County. That's what we plan for, Henry County. That's what the budgets are for, and the board is charged with making sure that we use budget dollars correctly for Henry County. But you do have to look at national trends and making decisions. And that's the reason why I said to you, what you're talking about is not isolated to Henry County. And you do have to look at historical data to determine what's happening. In the presentation that we just received, if I looked around, your presenter said Rockdale County, surrounding counties, Locust Grove, McDonough. He did exactly the same thing that I'm doing. Simply saying you must do some type of comparative work, look at some historical data and making decisions for, quote unquote, Henry County, okay? So I am not saying to you to save the world, nor am I saying to you to save the United States. Let's stay focused. We're talking about Henry County. And that's what he did. So let me finish. Mm-hmm. Now, as I stated, numbers can say just about what you want those numbers to say. Now, we did a class and compensation plan, you told me 3 years ago. That class and compensation plan was also designed to look at positions that are in Henry County and bring us into alignment, again, with surrounding counties, put competitively with our salaries in that pay scale. And I remember a very similar conversation with you during that time period, stating why we needed to make an adjustment in our salaries and our pay rates, again, to take care of Henry County because of surrounding counties and what they were doing. And I think this board did a very good job of that. Now, are you telling me, based upon this class and compensation plan, which was quite costly to us, was wrong? Did we not do adjustments then to take care of, as you say, take care of our employees? Did we not do any adjustments then?
No, ma'am, I'm certainly not saying that it was wrong, but you're referring to a plan that was done 3 years ago. The market has changed, the competitiveness has changed, the cost of living has changed, and so there are factors that may not have been considered at the time that that plan was developed. And one of the things that in any class and comp, you have to update it based on the market. Yes, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and so the cost to do business, the cost to provide services, the cost to work is much higher than what it was 3 years ago. One of the other things, Commissioner, and I want to make sure you understand the national trend piece, because Mr. Cooper did present that in his presentation.
What I have to say. First of all, are you saying to me, we had a study that we paid for, we're professionals, to do a class and compensation plan 3 years ago, and they did not have the ability to put in any type of cost of living, any type of futuristic numbers to say in the case of A, B, and C, you are covered for that. Are you trying to tell me that we were deficient in that plan?
No, ma'am.
Because
Commissioner
here we
Thomas, I
go.
think you're putting words in my mouth because
Let me
let me say this.
Because
Every year, the plan did include a COLA and a longevity, so that is included in the plan.
You talk at the same time.
I'm answering
Let
your
me
question.
finish. No, let me finish, then I'll be quiet. My question again is that we had a class and compensation plan 3 years ago. The plan normally takes, how long did it take them to complete the plan? Probably close to a year, I'm assuming, somewhere along in there. So that means the plan was probably implemented 2 years ago. In that 2-year plan implemented, there were some type of compensations and adjustment made to different salaries and positions. I remember that presentation being made to us that we needed to do that then to be competitive in the marketplace. So that's less than 2 years ago. So we need to talk about what that plan did and how it affected the salaries. The next thing is, when do we normally do our pay rate increases? Because as Commissioner Holmes stated, this went to the media, this went to everybody else. It got people hyped up. It made people think we're getting this 10.5% raise. We got emails, and there was never a presentation made to this Board of Commissioners to consider, to say we need to talk about this before it went out. I think pretty good strategy if I'm being marketed correctly, if you want to make sure things happen in your favor. I have to say it was a good strategy to do that. But my question again is, look at our other increases, 2018, 2019, 2020, after we had a class and compensation plans, what were those increases per year? What were the increases for 2018, 2019?
You want me to speak, Commissioner?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that would be 3%. It was a 3% increase, and we do that every year. That is a part of the class and compensation plan that the board approved. So we do give a 3% every year, but keep in mind, there are some employees who do not receive it because based on their current salary, they've already capped out at the pay grade that they're currently within. So you do have employees that aren't receiving anything. Every year, they are capped out and their salary is where it is with no increase.
Okay, so you have a 3%, and when is that normally done? Is that done on the anniversary date? Is it done blanket across the whole at one time period? How is that done?
It's done every July. When the board approves the budget, that amount is in the budget and it's done every July.
Okay. Now, what about the COLA, the 1%, 2% increases that take place? When is that normally done? Longevity is 1% in COLA. When is that normally done?
That's the 3% that I'm referring to. That's the COLA
Okay.
and the longevity that's got approved every July, for every July.
Is there some type of evaluation of performance done on each employee for any type of increases at all?
That is in the personnel policy manual that the board needs to approve.
On the base of the old one then?
No,
Is
ma'am, it
there
was
one
not
there
in the
for
old one, and that was one of the things that we identified as critical, which is why we added it to our current personnel policy that we would require those performance evaluations for all of our employees. But there is no increase or any additional funding tied to a performance evaluation currently.
None at all, okay.
No, ma'am.
The next thing I want to ask you, based upon the class and compensation study, and has anyone, or do we have anyone that's making $15 or less per hour?
I'm sure we do. I'll have to look at the hourly rate for those that are in that pay grade 8, I believe. But I will confirm that and let you know before we conclude.
Okay, because one of the things that we were trying to do months ago was to make sure all employees made a minimum of $15 per hour. And that was, I can't remember what month it was, but we had a discussion about and how to make that happen. And so we need to determine if we have everyone at a minimum $15 an hour, so we can make sure that we're compensating people as they should be. The next question would be,
Commissioner Thomas, let me jump in real quick. Staff has reminded me that we only have part-timers that are less than that. We did pass a resolution that shows $15 an hour for our full-time. So we do have some employees that are at $26,000. In order to get them to that $15 per hour, their annual salary would need to be $31,200.
Okay, so the question then would be, how many people do we need to move to get them to $15 minimum an hour so we can be competitive? And what would that do to our budget to make that happen? Because we need those answers. The next thing is, for 2 years, I have been asking for our fire and police to have increases based upon educational levels. Is this in this proposal?
No, ma'am, it is not.
Okay, so the question would be, again, for 2 years, I have been trying to make sure that we take care of our public safety and our fire, and I have asked for numbers in a presentation to be made how to move them and their salaries based upon education levels, because we have some police who have a high school education, just being an example, and making the same as someone with a master's degree, and that has not been done as of yet. So we need to determine, since we have quote unquote this money that you're talking about, how can we move fire and police pay scales based upon experience and educational level, and how long would it take you to get that report back to us?
So, Commissioner Thomas, again, that is not what we're here for today. We are here to make sure that all of our employees are taken care of. One of the things that I've said to this board is that there is a phase 2 to our class and comp, which is that supplemental pay. But as a reminder, I did bring to this board a resolution to increase the pay for our fire PD. I think one of the requests that either came from you and or Chair Harrell was for us to give a housing allowance to our public safety and the educational piece. There was no action taken by the board on that. So I'll be more than happy to bring it back. But I want us to refocus on today. My issue today is retaining the employees that we have here. Retention is where we are struggling. I cannot continue to outsource a lot of the items that we need to get done. And so that is why this morning my focus is on how do we retain the employees in the workforce that we have. One of the things that you mentioned was that national trend, and I want to make sure that you go back to that presentation that Mr. Cooper presented, because he talked a lot about the national average. That's the national trend data that we've looked at. So this was not just Locust Grove, McDonough, and Hampton. And while we may not want to compare ourselves to those cities, not in a negative manner, and I don't mean that negatively, but that's where we're losing our employees. They're going to the Water Authority and they're going to our surrounding cities. And we've got to be more competitive. That is where we have to be. It's either today or tomorrow. I can come back in July and bring you all the same recommendation, but I'll tell you, July of next year, it may be higher than 10.5. It may be 15 or 20%, because we've got to be competitive. I'm losing firefighters right now to the hospital. They're doing $30,000 signing bonuses for paramedics to go and work at the hospital, and they're leaving. And I know one may say, well, if they want to make more money, go there. But people actually want to come here and work. They want to work for Henry County. It's not, and let me say this, it's not just about the salary. Employees want to be appreciated. Look at all of the benefits that this board and previous boards have approved. A wellness center, not passing along increases for insurance. Those are things that this board made a decision on. So all we're asking you all to do today is to say to our employees, yes, we appreciate the hard work that you're doing. Yes, we know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Yes, we know that we've got to remain competitive. But at the end of the day, we appreciate what you're doing. And we're saying thank you for your service to Henry County. That's all I'm asking this board to do. The class and comp, it's not ignored. We have to look at our class and comp every 2 years. We should do a major overhaul. Every 2 or 3 years, a major overhaul to our class and compensation plan. But I also tell you this, Commissioner Thomas, we've lost employees where I've been competing to bring in the top of the line employees because we can't compete from a salary standpoint. And I can't continue to come to this board with all the great ideas that you all have and tell you that we can get them done if I don't have people that can do it.
Sharon, I'm going to go back to what, and you are in a position, I'm going to go back to what you stated. And yes, you're in a position to make this look grandiose. I will say that. because we do appreciate our employees. And we do appreciate what they do. There is no way anybody on this board can fight you on that. Nobody. Nobody can take away from what you just said. It is needed. That's not the question. The question is not whether we appreciate them, we do. The question is not whether or not we want to pay them more, we do. The question is not, do we know we're losing employees? We know it. That's not it. The question is, how do we make sure compensation is fair? Compensation cannot be just in one whole, saying today we're going to do this, because we have firemen we need to take care of. We have police we need to take care of. We have 911 we need to take care of. There is a host of people need to be taken care of. And we cannot do this in an isolated situation. And that's where you're putting us. Like, today I only want to do this. But tomorrow we have police. Today I only want to do this. Well, Wednesday we have the fire. Today I only want to do this. Well, now we're at 911. No, we cannot. This board cannot operate in isolation on one thing. And that's what you're asking us to do. That's not something that you should do. We should. We have to look at the entire scheme of things. Everyone that's affected. How can we do this? And again, with this great resignation that I'm referring to, as you stated and as your presenter explained, money was like third in rank as to why people are leaving. The studies are showing it's culture. The study is showing it's appreciation and benefits. And money is ranking third and fourth when they do their exit interviews. Now, do people need money? Of course they do. The position that I hold before I took it, the people prior to me cut it by $10,000 because they want to make sure somebody like me would not make what they make when they sit in this chair. I know what it means to be hurt because you're not paid for what you do. This is not the conversation, Sherry. I'm not trying to have an emotional conversation with you. I'm saying to you, in this process, have we taken care educational and firemen and police, compensating them by educational levels? We have not. What is it going to cost us to make that happen so that the next week when you come before me, we can't say, well, I'm sorry, we can't compensate our police and firemen by educational levels and experience because we gave this other increase. Don't ask us to operate in isolation, and that's what you're doing. And that's not fair to us. To put us before your employees, before the media, before everybody, to have this conversation without having these other conversations before coming is something that should not have happened. So now I'm having to ask you these questions to say, how do we compensate these other people who need those compensation maybe beyond a 10.5% increase to make them competitive to stay with us? That's why we're having this. So we go back to trying to determine how do we take care of these other class of individuals, do them correctly, and leave money available. Now, as stated by Commissioner Holmes a few minutes ago, there are other things that need to be done in this county. So if you all have identified monies, we need to know where they are. You stated, well, we have more property taxes coming in because you're building. As more people come into this county, the money that we're bringing in from the building, we have to make sure that we cover other areas, quality of life, roads, streets, sidewalks. So those monies that are coming in will be allocated to other things to compensate and to work with the people that are moving here. It's not like it just be a pot of money there that we can use. And then you said there are other money, there are additional revenue streams that are coming into the county. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but COVID dollars and grants are not permanent. They're one time. We're not sure when COVID dollars will stop. We're not sure what grants we would get the next year. So I'm not sure what those other dollars that you're talking about that you want us to use. And I do know these employees want this money. And they are deserving of it. This is not emotion. But the way we have done this and put them in a position where it looks like we are battling whether or not to take care of our employees, that's wrong. And that's what has happened. I'll hold my other comments. Madam Chair, I relinquish the floor.
So Commissioner Thomas, This is emotional, and I'm gonna tell you why it's emotional, because I've heard you say at least 4 times, well, the media was contacted, so that's personal. And I wanna be clear with you that not me or any member of our staff contacted the media. We received requests. Hey, y'all have a meeting on the 30th, no board, you didn't have a quorum, no meeting. We deferred them all to the communications team, who did not provide a statement. So I'm going to take that part personal, because we aren't out to get the board. This item was on the agenda for November 30th. Today is December 14th. So there has been ample time to have a conversation for any board member. And I've talked to board members who have called and asked questions about this agenda item. This is not a matter of me putting, the staff up against the board. It's not a matter of trying to make anyone feel uncomfortable. But as elected officials, this is what y'all are charged with, making those tough decisions. As the manager, I'm charged with making tough decisions that, guess what? A great manager, everybody's not gonna like the decisions that are made, but you have to do what's right for the group. So I wanna make sure that you understand it is emotional for me, because I'm losing employees, because I'm having employees tell me, Sherry, I've been here for 15 or 20 years, but I can't continue to work making the money that I'm making and continue to live. We have employees that have been put out of their homes. We have employees that are living paycheck to paycheck. So yes, for me, it's emotional, it's personal, because we have tenured employees that want to continue to work here, and they want to just get a 10.5% increase. You mentioned about it not being fair. I've got to ask the question, how is it not fair? It's 10.5 for everybody. That's as fair and equitable as it gets. We are looking to increase the 10.5 so that we can support our employees. Yes, public safety is so important to us. I think we have spent a lot of money on making sure that public safety is taken care of, which is why, if you'll remember, in the budget, we went back and added additional funding for our public safety team. We are taking care of our public safety, but I want to take care of all of our employees. Commissioner, if we don't have employees, then you don't get roads paved. If we don't have employees, then parks aren't getting cut. If we don't have employees, then I'm gonna have to come to you all and say, look, I don't have enough DOT workers that can go out and do X, Y, and Z. We're gonna have to outsource it. And it's gonna cost us more money to outsource it. All I'm asking today is for you all to look at the facts that have been presented. This isn't for Sherry. This is about the facts that are available. We have the revenues. We will continue to have the revenues. The manner in which we've trended shows that we can afford this. If you'll remember, when we present, and David does his monthly report, every month he's come to you all saying, look, our revenues are continuing to go up. Yes, do I think there's gonna be a moment that, hey, it may stall? Yes, but at the same time, we've planned for that. We understand what this is going to cost the county, but I guarantee you, any and all requests that you all have asked for, any park improvements, any road improvements, they're going to get done. That's what we've committed to. That's what you have a budget for. That's why we're doing our mid-year budget adjustment, because we've had those one-time expenses that have come up. We've had requests from commissioners, hey, I need this road paved. Although it's not on our LMEG list, although it wasn't an identified project, we do it. So all I'm asking is that the board appreciates and returns that to the staff. And I apologize in advance, Commissioner Thomas, if you think that we're arguing back and forth, but we're not arguing. I'm going to be respectful to you. I think you've been respectful to me, but at the end of the day, I'm passionate about this. So don't let my passion get in the way of you thinking that I'm being argumentative, because I'm not. It's just that I want to make sure that these employees are taken care of. And you are right. In July, we're going to be coming back for more, because I want us to remain competitive. But Commissioner Thomas, with all due respect, every request that this board has asked us to bring forth, we've brought forth that request. The educational piece, the housing piece. The board has to take action. I can't continue to bring these items forward if y'all aren't going to take action. So I don't want you to think that we contacted the media. I don't have time for that. I'm managing a county. There's day-to-day stuff that has to be done. And you can ask anyone from the media, I refuse to speak with them unless it's a positive story. Unless you're telling me that we've saved a life, we've done something great, you're never gonna catch Sherry Matthews in the paper talking negative about myself, my staff, or these commissioners. We'll disagree on a lot of things, but I'm gonna be respectful of you.
thank you, Sherry, for that, and thank you for your comments. And there again, I think we want to do the same thing. It's just that at this point in time, as you stated, what you have and what you offer, no one is fighting. How to get there is where we have a difference. How do we
Okay,
take care of
thank you,
employees
Commissioner
and how to go-
Thomas. Commissioner Wilson, did you have some comments?
Commissioner Thomas brought up some good points, talk about should have a meeting about certain things, but the problem with that is, Commissioner Thomas, you got to show up to work to do that. So, and there's another thing that you brought up. There's another thing that you brought up too.
And nobody was there, including me. And I did stay
I have
on
support.
every meeting.
You moved
Can
everybody.
somebody mute her, please?
Except for that.
Some-
So
can
I do
somebody
show up
mute
for
her,
work, and I
please?
do my job exceptionally well.
So, can somebody
This
mute
is
her?
about these
I have to
employees
support
and
me.
not about me, and
So-
you should not have made that statement. It was irresponsible for you
Here.
to make, and I am going to
Hey,
respond to
can
it.
somebody mute her, please? So, and the other point you made is when you signed up for this job, that you knew what it paid. You said that it was cut $10,000. Then when you signed up, you knew what it paid. Well, we have employees that signed up for that job, knew what it paid, but it comes a time where it needs to pay more, so they leaving. So there's options on the board. As far as employees, if you don't like what it pays, do like the employees do, they leave. But until we increase that, they're going to come back. So we need to increase the employees' pay where they can come back to work for Henry County. So I want to make those points because you brought it up. I wanted to kind of capture some of the things you brought up.
Okay, we're gonna move forward. I'm gonna call for a motion.
I've been raising my hand to speak, and no one has allowed me to speak.
Okay, well, I
I've been
can't.
raising my hand to speak.
Okay, Commissioner Clemens, I could not see you, okay? I apologize. So, go ahead with your comment.
So first of all, I want to address this issue about showing up for work.
We're not going
Since
to.
Commissioner
address
Wilson
that, right?
stated that.
Commissioner.
This is not, this has everything to do with this resolution.
No,
This has everything to do with this resolution, Chair
if you have
Harrell.
something about the resolution, then you can go.
This has everything to do with this
No, ma'am, we're
resolution.
not going to talk about that today.
This has everything to do with the resolution. This is public service. This is not a job. Number one. This board needs to create a set of policies, Sherry. When you talk about retention, we need to create a set of policies that will include signing bonuses for the staff and other ways to address how we can keep and get the workers that we need. We need to raise the wages of our employees. We need to update the overtime rules. We need to strengthen the rights of our staff as a collective bargaining tool. They have a right to ask for whatever they want to ask for, and we need to create a policy in which they can do that. But this needs to be a broadly shared wage increase and not just an excessive executive pay raise. I would prefer to see us address an immediate pay raise for all of our DOT workers and every employee in Henry County that is less than $30,000. We need to address that and raise their wages immediately. We need to update the class and comp study, and then I want to see us address those employees that were in the class and comp study that did not get the vast amount of money that they were supposed to get. A lot of them were in the class and comp study and did not get the maximum raise that they could have gotten, and I want to see that addressed immediately. But everyone who was eligible to get a pay increase did not get it based on the last comp study. So we need to go back, we need to update that class and comp study across the board. We need to increase the people who are in the class and comp study who did not get their maximum amount, and every DOT employee needs to get a raise. I agree with that. But to do a broad 10.5 across the board, everybody get a raise is not what we should be doing. There are a lot of employees who are not where they're supposed to be based on the existing class and comp study. Let's start with that. And you guys did not give us that. So what I would prefer us to do is to table this resolution today, go back and look at all of the DOT workers and every employee who is not where they're supposed to be based on the existing class and comp study and address them, give them their money. But to do a broad 10.5 across the board, executives, there are people that you're trying to give a raise to who are already maxed out.
Right.
And I don't agree with that. I agree with taking care of the people that need to be taken care of and not using them to entice or to pump this up because the people at the top want to raise too. Let's deal with the people on the bottom and the people that deserve the raise.
Hey, Sherry, I'm really concerned that we're going down a path of bankrupting this county. Let's just circle back and put together a plan and put together a plan that actually works for everybody. It would have been nice for the board to get together and discuss these issues and craft something that would benefit all employees. I think that, that used to be the process. That has changed. Let's start back pulling the board together on issues this large and have a discussion. Have a discussion on what's going to benefit not just the employees, but what's going to benefit the citizens. Raising the millage rate to pay for $13.2 million out the blue is, that's not good for the citizens of this county. Let's look at doing things the right way. It's not too late.
Okay, Sherry.
Chair Harrell.
Yes, Commissioner Clemens.
Yeah, sometimes the news don't always quote us correctly, so I want to be very clear. Sherry, this is directly to you. This has nothing to do with you or your job or your salary or the executives. I think you guys do a wonderful job, but let's take care of the ones at the bottom first. That's all I'm asking. Let's not do a 10.5 across the board. Let's go to our DOT workers. Let's go to everyone that's in the class and comp study who did not get their money, and let's address them first. I don't think we need to vote on this today. I think we need to get a professional to come back in. The boards before us laid the ground rules. When you guys came to them years ago with the same thing, they asked for a class and comp study, not an internal financial analysis that says, we're gonna raise everybody. No, let's raise the ones that deserve to be raised. And deserving is everybody. Everybody deserves it. But I'm talking about the ones who have been left in the wind. Those DOT workers that when I drive around and they're cutting the grass and they're out there hot, they're out there in the cold, and they're making very little. Let's take care of them now. Let's take care of those people in the class and comp study that sent us emails that said, hey, commissioners, I was supposed to get this and I didn't get it. Yes, let's take care of them now, but not everybody across the board right now, because a lot of times we have done that, and I think those people can wait. So I would like to see you all get a outside agency to do a class and comp study so that if those people that are maxed out need to be raised, we can use the class and comp study to do that, not an internal financial analysis. But there are people now with the existing class and comp study that deserves to be matched to the class and comp study, and I would like to see you bring that back to us.
Chair Harrell, if I may, I heard Commissioner Clemens say that, hey, it's not about me. But I want to say this. If the holdup is the county manager getting 10.5, I'll take myself out. I don't need it. Because I'll be honest with you, it's not about the money to be here. I could be at any other jurisdiction with less stress. I'll just be honest with you all, and probably making more. So it's not about the money for me. So if the issue is we don't want the county manager, put it in the resolution. County manager shall not receive the 10.5. I don't have a problem with that at all. Cluster leaders, they don't want it. They want to take care of their people. So if it's the cluster leaders and the county manager, we'll remove ourselves from it. But I want to say this. We have professionals that have looked at it. Our HR director, we have a class and comp person that's in-house. We look at this information. Yes, we do need to update the class and comp study. Yes, there are elements that we need to go back and revisit. But now the issue is retention. That is what my issue is. How do I retain the employees that I currently have? And I'll be honest with you all, and I want to take this board back to when we were looking at hero pay. The executives, myself, the cluster leaders, we didn't get that. But yet, every single day when this building was open, every last one of our cluster leaders were here. I was here. I worked harder during the pandemic, during COVID, than being here in the office because we were on Zooms from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. On the weekends, when the commissioners are having activities, our cluster leaders are there. They're the ones taking time away from their families so they can make sure that the events that y'all are planning are done first class. So I'll stand here, and if it is the county manager getting the 10.5, I will stand here ready to say, I don't want it. I'd rather give up my 10.5 so the other 1,599 employees can have it, because it's not about that. It's about retaining the people that we have. And I don't want it to be this way. But honestly, commissioners, we provide the information. We've provided the information. If you all want to have a workshop, let's pause this meeting. Let's cut the cameras, pause the meeting, have a workshop. But we need to take action today on this. I don't want to bring it back in January. I want us to take action on it because it is important. It's important for us to keep our people here. And I want you all to trust what we've told you. Understand, commissioners, we've come to you all. Every month you get a budget report. You know where we are. We haven't come before this board and said, hey, look, we're in dire need. We've got to look at reducing positions. We haven't done that. Commissioners, everything that you all have asked for, we've provided. I'm asking one request today for you all to honor and allow our employees to get a 10.5% increase. And again, take me out of it. It's not that big a deal to me. It's about our employees. So I want the board to understand that. I'm speaking for our cluster leaders. Although they deserve it, I'll take myself out of it.
So Sherry, can you tell me what other jurisdictions have given across the board raises?
I do know that Fayette County recently gave about a 19.2% increase, which their county administrator reported that it will result in a tax increase. That's one of the things Bernita said, that this will not cause any type of tax increase. We're not going to come back before the board when it's time to set the millage rate and say, hey, look, because we gave the increases, now we've got to raise the taxes. Because I'm a taxpayer. I want to make sure that we're doing everything right. I know that the city of Atlanta, I know Fayette County recently gave an increase, and I believe DeKalb County did. But I can get that information to the board as well.
So Sherry, you said that Fayette, their pay increase is going to amount in a tax increase?
Yes, sir. In the second year. I'm sorry, Commissioner Holmes, that's in the second year.
So it will amount in a tax increase?
For Fayette County, yes, sir.
So Fayette is one of the fastest growing counties as well. So why would they get a tax increase and our citizens won't get a tax increase?
And I let David make sure he provided me some additional information. So Fayette County has rolled their millage rate back in previous years. And because they've rolled their millage rate back, that's why they're going to have that tax increase. If you'll remember, we've kept steady at the 12.733.
I said we haven't had a tax increase either.
In 4 years, that is correct.
Right.
So Commissioner,
so more than
since
likely,
I've been county manager, we have not had a tax increase.
So more than likely, we will have to increase taxes 2 mills to support that $13.2 million.
No, sir, Commissioner. We will not have to increase taxes.
We're gonna move forward. Can I get a motion to?
Chair Harrell, I think Commissioner Cannon has his hand up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see Commissioner Cannon. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No trouble. Thank you very much. I think that it's important that we trust staff. I think they've done the work. They've put forth the effort. They've presented this very well. I also think that part of the problem that we're having with media is that this board is recognized as dysfunctional. And I'm afraid we are proving that today. I believe that we should move on this, and I stand firm in that, and I would make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? We got a second by Commissioner Wilson. We've had the discussion that we're going to have. All in favor? All opposed? Motion fails.
Thank you, board.
All right, we're gonna move to, we're gonna move to the next item on the agenda, which is the COVID-19 incentive pay.
Good morning again, Madam Board Chair, board members. I come to you today with a second item. It is a COVID-19 vaccine pay incentive for eligible employees. From January 2nd to November 11th, we had 245 reported COVID cases in reference to our employees. At the time, we had 1,632 employees. That's now 1,637 full-time employees, 218 part-time employees. The large majority of our COVID positive tests were in our public safety division. About 62% of our positive COVID tests were a result of employees who work in public safety, who are direct care, on the ground employees. When you look at the total number, well, let me back up. Based on studies that we've seen where there have been at least 18 municipalities that have provided some type of incentive for employees who have received their COVID vaccines, as well as 3 independent school districts, the University of Georgia system, and the state of Georgia. We thought that it would be beneficial for us to provide an incentive as well. We conducted a survey in which employees had to report back whether or not they were vaccinated. 88% of our employees participated in that survey, which resulted in 57% of the surveyed employees being vaccinated, which in total, when you look at the 100% of employees that we have as staff, 50% of our staff have been vaccinated. I know it's small to see, but the total number of vaccinated employees is 930. So as a result, we would like to provide a one-time incentive for vaccinated employees of $1,000. Here we have the staff recommended options, and I'll have Ms. Campbell come up and explain it in its entirety. And I want us to also keep in mind that, as County Manager referenced, when the inception of COVID hit and this pandemic hit us all, we developed what was called Hero Pay, and it was approved by the Board of Commissioners in 2020. At that particular time, we approved a $2.50 per hour in hazard pay for all employees who had the potential of direct contact, and another $1.50 per hour for employees working in county offices rather than teleworking. So at this time, we're open for questions.
Commissioner Clemens,
Commissioner
I saw
Clemens.
you.
Yes, thank you, Chair Harrell. The last time that we spoke about this, we asked that staff would tier it. I asked that staff would tier this and to make sure that we were trying to encourage other people to get vaccinated. I don't see this on here at all. All I see is give $1,000 to people who are already vaccinated, but we were supposed to be trying to increase the number of vaccinated people in the county. So it was supposed to be, if you got vaccinated in the next 30 days, you got this amount. If you got vaccinated in the next 60 days, you got this amount. I don't see any of that included. So here again, I cannot support resolutions that are incomplete and that I don't think that have all of the information that we requested before. I don't know what happened to the resolution, but we had an extensive conversation about the things that should have been included in this. So that's my statement, Chair Harrell, and I guess staff will address it.
Okay, can someone address Commissioner Clemens' comments?
I can't hear you.
Clemens' comments. We did make an effort to staff. We informed staff that we would provide a $1,000 incentive for them to get vaccinated. That was issued through Human Resources. And we also did it through the survey. and this is the response we have. And so now we just want to move ahead and provide the incentive to those that did get vaccinated.
Clemens, did you have any additional questions with regards to the comments?
Yeah, I don't see this as a change to what we had. It was supposed to be a full resolution in relations to those who are already vaccinated would get this amount, and those who get vaccinated in the next 30 days or 60 days. I don't understand what happened. I guess staff just went on and sent it out to employees and then came back and asked for the money instead of putting something in place. So I'm not sure what David is saying happened.
Just explain it.
No, ma'am. What we brought forth to the board, Commissioner Clemens, if you'll recall, there were several options. I think you recommended one set of options. I think Commissioner Wilson indicated, hey, I don't want us to look at anything that pays employees for getting vaccinated. And so we took all of those suggestions because there was never a formal motion made in terms of what to do. So we did go back and look at everything. If you remember, I think we were looking at the survey, or maybe the survey had already gone out, and we were going to report back to you all. I think the question asked was, what percentage of our employees have been vaccinated? And you all focused specifically on how do we verify that what the information the employee is providing is factual. We talked to our county attorney. He gave us some guidance on how to do that. And then just based on what we believe to be the most economic, and also at the same time, we didn't want it to be a penalty for those that may not be vaccinated, nor did we want to force employees to get vaccinated. So based on staff's analysis, based on the information that we received back, our recommendation to the board is that we only provide the incentive to those employees that have been vaccinated. If the board would like for us to do something else, that's what this meeting is for, and you all certainly don't have to move with that resolution. If the desire is for us to just compensate the employees that have already been vaccinated at one amount and then allow employees an opportunity to get vaccinated, we can certainly do that. But that's just not something that we would recommend, because I think there's been ample time for those that want to get vaccinated. I think we have set up vaccine sites here at the county for county employees. We did 2 days of that. We even had a public safety day 2 or 3 weeks ago across the street at the health department, where all of our public safety team was invited to go across the street, get their vaccine, get their booster. So we have put forth, in my opinion, a lot of resources and efforts to get our employees vaccinated. One of the things that I said to this board is that I wanted us to get to at least 50%, and I think Mr. Cooper announced this morning that based on the survey results, we do have that 50+% of employees that have been vaccinated. And so again, this is just an opportunity to thank those employees without mandating it. And I certainly don't want to force it on anyone. If people want to be vaccinated, they'll be vaccinated. If they don't, for religious reasons, for whatever purposes those are, we definitely want to do that. But I don't want us to go into 3 or 4 months trying to take care of this, which is why we brought it forth today and wanted the effective date to be today. So that if anyone was not vaccinated as of today, then they would not be eligible to receive the $1,000 incentive pay. I don't know if Harold mentioned this, but this will have no impact on general fund. We do have COVID funds that are available for this expense.
Chair Burrell. So
Go ahead, Commissioner Clemens. Go ahead.
So Sherry, since it doesn't have to be this resolution, can you hear me?
You're echoing. It's like it's echoing.
What about now?
Better.
Is that better? Mm-hmm. Since it doesn't have to be this resolution, I would prefer to see then, if we're concerned about, not giving bonuses to people and people had ample opportunity, people are still working. And so instead of just having the people that are vaccinated to get it, then why don't we just give every staff member a $1,000 COVID bonus today? I mean, we have enough money. It's not coming out of our budget. It's heroes pay. What's the amount to just make sure that every employee that has been working during COVID get the $1,000 instead of just a certain percentage? This is COVID money. It's not coming out of the county's budget.
So we did that through the hero pay.
I can't hear
if
you.
you'll remember, we did give hero pay to all of our employees. I think public safety, and there were some employees that received a higher rate of pay versus those that were working from home but still working. So we've done that part. The $1,000 was not recommended for every employee because then at that point, I don't think there's an incentive, you know, in terms of those employees that have been vaccinated. And I wouldn't recommend that. I think this is less than all of our, you know, when you talk about 50% of our employee base that's been vaccinated, and obviously they will have to provide proof. We will have to know that they've been vaccinated. It's not just word of mouth. So I would not recommend that in terms of just giving every employee $1,000.
But then we're saying that we're punishing the ones who, for religious reason or health reasons, that did not get vaccinated. So what is the total amount if every employee got $1,000 bonus COVID pay? Do we know what that amount would be?
So it would be $2,238,227.
Commissioner, I could support that.
You said what, Commissioner Holmes?
I said I can support that.
Yeah, we're not going to do the raises today, but I think this would be a good opportunity for us to let our employees know that we appreciate all of them, even the ones for whatever reason, religious reason, political reasons, health reasons. 2.5 is not going to be a whole lot out of this money of COVID money that's not coming out of our budget to make sure that every employee immediately on their next check receive $1,000 bonus going into the holidays. I think that a lot of them may be upset about the last vote. They have worked. I still want to address those DOT workers and those workers who are not at their max based on the class study. So I hope that you bring that back to us, but this COVID resolution doesn't have to be just for people who are vaccinated. I think every employee should receive $1,000 out of this money.
So, Commissioner,
that's my statement.
What I would ask is if we
when you say you don't recommend it, Sherry, it's not gonna hurt the county.
We can't hear you, Commissioner. You muted yourself.
I think this is really about people who have worked through this pandemic. It's not gonna hurt the county's budget. You really would have to do a big case to tell me why we can't do this for the employees today.
Well,
so I'm recommending that we do $1,000 for every employee out of the COVID relief money today.
So if I may, Chair Harrell, I don't recommend it because the whole point was to provide an incentive to those employees that were vaccinated. Every employee had an opportunity, but if it's the wishes of the board, I would recommend that we up it. If we're going to give it to all employees, let's make it $5,000 or $6,000. If we're going to give the employees, because $1,000 with taxes coming out of it is really not a lot. And again, we want to make sure that as we go into the holidays that we take care of those employees. So if it is the wishes of the board, what I'd like to do is run some numbers and see what we can do if we're going to make a dent in it and give it to the employees. We can't call it, and I think Patrick is on the call because I want to get some clarification. I don't think we can call it a bonus, so he'll have to tell me what we can call it, but I don't think we can call it a vaccine incentive pay because if you're not vaccinated, then it's not an incentive. So I want to make sure that we get the legal terminology correct on that, but we can definitely look at the dollar amount that's there, and again, I think if we're going to do something, let's give it a little bit higher than the $1,000 if the desire is to take care of all of the employees.
Sherry, where does it not? I mean, this is about incentive pay and encouraging employees to get vaccinated. So now we're taking it to what? Because I'm not in agreement with it. I'm in agreement with incentive pay the way the resolution is written. So I'm not going to support giving it to everyone that has not, been vaccinated. Now, we've got employees that can provide religious or medical reasons as to why, then maybe they can be included. But outside of that, no.
So because we are using...
can we still do the, I would recommend that we still do the incentive, the COVID incentive pay. We could still do the COVID incentive pay, but we could still do a COVID holiday bonus or something for COVID for the employees with this other money that we have that we're just sitting on. And Lord knows what we're trying to do with that money, but there's money for the employees that we can use for a pandemic. So I still say, if you all don't want to give them, all the employees, $1,000, then give the $1,000 to those that are vaccinated. But we still need to talk about this money that won't affect our budget, that we won't have to raise taxes on. That's the money that we should be giving to our employees immediately, since we're concerned about our employees today. And this is an opportunity for this board to come together on something. Now, you know, just because D is making this recommendation, I'm sure that there's going to be some commissions that's going to go against it. I'm just saying, let's take care of the employees for the holidays, and let's do something with the COVID money today for our employees.
Well, we're gonna go with the resolution. I'm gonna call for a motion for the resolution. Okay, Commissioner Wilson had his hand up. Go ahead.
I would like to see us look at the employees that didn't get the vaccine because of health and religious reasons. So can we do a survey or some type of, to see how we can include those employees as well?
Can we just make a motion to give $1,000 to every employee?
So it has to be COVID related. So if we're trying to give the employees $1,000 and it's not COVID related, then that's going to come out of general fund. We can justify it for the vaccine, but I cannot give it to employees that aren't vaccinated as part of that COVID pot of money.
Well, Sherry, it is COVID related because other jurisdictions have given COVID related bonuses, one-time bonuses, just because they're working during the pandemic. So we have attorneys, great attorneys there that can make this COVID related. You were correct, Sherry. If we want to do more, Sherry, let's do it. Let's take this money and make sure our employees are taken care of this holiday season, and they've worked through this pandemic. So we can make this COVID related. It's all about language. There is no law that says that we cannot give all employees something out of this money.
And
Make
as
a
long
motion to-
as they have worked
We had the
I think at
opportunity.
some point we have to put the politics and all of this stuff aside, and let's come together on one thing today at least.
Well, the one thing we could have come together was the pay increase of 10.5, but since we could not do that today, then we have a resolution about pay incentive for eligible vaccinated employees. Can I get a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we would give $1,000 COVID bonus to every employee of Henry County.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor for a COVID bonus to everyone, even those that have not been vaccinated. Got a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed?
Thank you.
Now, Sherry, we have this resolution on the floor for the incentive pay for those employees that have been vaccinated. I make a motion to move forward with the incentive pay for those that have been vaccinated. Can I get a second? Can't get a second, then motion fails.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move to the next item on the
Chair Harrell.
annexation. Next motion on the, who's presenting for the annexation?
Chair Harrell,
Commissioner Thomas.
before you move to that, may I put another motion on the floor?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion that we give all employees who have been vaccinated the $1,000 bonus, and any employee who will receive the vaccination a $1,000 in bonus, and any employee who have worked through the pandemic $1,000 bonus as well.
So you, Commissioner Thomas has a motion on the floor. Commissioner Holmes seconded. All in favor? Those that are opposed? Motion fails. Now can we move to the annexation?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'm presenting today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This presentation is for AX 2109, a annexation request from the City of Hampton for 3 parcels to the west of the Hampton city limits, adjacent to Clayton County. So the properties hatched in white and green are the 3 subject properties that are the subject properties of this annexation request. The properties in white are unincorporated Henry County, and the solid green colored properties are those within the city limits of the City of Hampton. This is a zoning map which shows those subject properties. They are all currently zoned M1 light manufacturing within unincorporated Henry County. And the future land use map designation of those properties is mixed use. So this annexation request is a little bit different than the typical annexation requests we received, in that the applicants are requesting annexation via the 60% method, which only requires 60% of the property owners and 60% of resident electors within the properties. A portion of the subject property was rezoned in 2018 from RA to M1 for a industrial development, but that development has not been developed as of today. So these annexations, they are not proposing a concurrent rezoning request. However, staff have evaluated that the request would create an island of unincorporated property, which is prohibited as per OCGA. And just again, to show the map, the properties that would be created an island as a result of this annexation are located in the southwestern portion of the map. So the lower left-hand side corner, all of those properties would be cut off. If you follow Lower Woolsey Road, those properties would be cut off, and an island of unincorporated land would be created, which is not permitted as per OCGA. And that is the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Clemens?
I didn't understand staff's recommendation.
Yes, Commissioner Clemens. So staff is recommending that the board formally object to this annexation request, as an island of unincorporated property is created, and that is prohibited. So we do have grounds for annexation, for objection in this annexation request.
Have we, has the staff had a conversation with the City of Hampton, and did City of Hampton submit this to us, or did the developer submit this to us?
Yes, ma'am. The City of Hampton is required to submit the request to the county. The applicants submit the request to the city, and then the city is obligated to forward that request to the county. To the best of my knowledge, planning and zoning staff has not had communication directly with the City of Hampton. I'm not aware if our legal team has. Perhaps they could answer that, but planning and zoning staff have not spoken to the City of Hampton regarding this request.
And Commissioner, nor has my office. We wanted to wait and hear the board's temperature before I reached out. I couldn't speak on behalf of the county until I knew what the board's position was. This does not require, us to immediately litigate or anything like that, because the objection is based on a technical issue, which is the creation of the island. It is something that we would likely be able to talk through and resolve. We had a similar issue 6 or 8 months ago. The city of McDonough was annexing. Their annexation created an island. The board authorized us to object to that. We worked that out. It came back. It was resolved. So I would anticipate that is probably what would happen here if the board is otherwise, if that's the direction the board wishes to go in. We are under time limits under annexation law, so I would join in the recommendation to go ahead and authorize the object today, but allow us obviously to move forward, try to resolve it. There's no reason to fight with the city if we don't have to have a fight with them.
Also, Patrick, I'm not comfortable even objecting, and we haven't had a conversation. Planning and zoning needs to have a conversation, just like we do out of respect for all of the other communities that have come to us with the annexation like this, the staff, the attorneys, everyone. I want to make sure that the city council members, the city manager of Hampton understand what we're doing and create the narrative on our own instead of just objecting to it and them not understanding what's happening. So they really need to have a conversation with the city of Hampton before this comes to us.
So it's our practice to bring it to this board before we have those conversations with the mayor and council, precisely because we don't know what this board's temperature is. I would recommend that you do, however, adopt the resolution, because we will lose the ability to object if we do not do so. So if we have a conversation, we're unable to resolve it, if this board does not assert its objection now, you may waive that opportunity. And that's just a function of Georgia law. You have a limited amount of time. I believe it's 30 days from the day we receive the notice of annexation in order to assert that objection. And we will probably not have another meeting between now and the 30th day.
Madam Chair, I believe you were speaking. I think you were muted before.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve to the objection of annexation.
I would like to make a motion to object to the annexation with the understanding that we will be having a conversation with City of Hampton to rectify the best move for this parcel of property.
I got a motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Holmes. If there's no further discussion, are all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a second annexation in the City of Hampton as well.
Good morning again, Madam Chair and board members. This annexation, AX 2110, is another City of Hampton annexation request, but this request is for 11 parcels on the east side of the Hampton city limits. There are 11 parcels. They are a mixture of RA and MU zoning. I'll go into that in more detail. So this is a copy of the official zoning map for the area. The property outlined in the heavy black line, the thick black line, is the subject property. So you can see that there's a combination of the pink color is PD or planned development. The pink colored properties are part of a development commonly known as Henderson Farms. It was rezoned some years ago. And there are a couple undeveloped or partially developed RA residential agricultural zoned properties as well. Again, the light green color are those properties within the city limits of the City of Hampton. The future land use map designation for the properties is a mixture of mixed use and rural residential. So the purple color, mixed use, and the light green color, rural residential. So similar to the previous request, this annexation request is through the 60% method, which only requires 60% again of property owners and minimum 60% of resident electors. Henderson Farms was rezoned back in 2019. That planned development, you will find the specific conditions of approval for that rezoning in your exhibit packets. So as I mentioned earlier, the 60% annexation method requires two items to be met. At least 60% of the property owners in terms of the greatest land, and 60% minimum of resident electors. So the 60% requirement of resident electors, staff believes that that requirement has not been met with this annexation request. As per OCGA, as per annexation law, the city of Hampton is required to obtain a list of the resident electors in the property. Communication with Henry County Board of Electors and Registration confirmed that that list had not been obtained. Planning staff obtained that list from the Board of Elections and Registrations and confirmed that there are 4 resident electors within the subject property, and none of those property owners agreed, signed the annexation forms for annexation. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have or go into greater detail regarding this annexation request.
Are there any questions from the board?
Again, I have a question for Patrick.
Yes. Go ahead.
Patrick, does it meet all requirements for annexation, and are there any issues that you perceive?
It does not appear to meet the requirements. Like the last one, there are some technical deficiencies. This one involves whether or not sufficient number of electors, which are voters that live within the area, joined in the application process. And I would again recommend assert the objection today, preserve our rights, and we will work with the city of Hampton, make sure they understand the nature of our objections. Look, but it'll be up to them or the property owner to solicit support from taxpayers or voters. I don't think we'll be doing that for them.
Also, we would have to address the service issues as well for that property, correct, Patrick?
Yes, we do. There are always service issues, and those are usually, frankly, easier to resolve than the technical issues because we provide, so many services already, but we will resolve those as well.
Yeah, I think this is a conversation that we definitely need to address with Hampton. I really support this annexation going into the city of Hampton to help Hampton. I think this is something that they need, but I would like to see staff and the legal team work with them to make sure that we cover all bases and deal with any problems that we may foresee in the future that we need to address with them.
Madam Chair, you're muted again.
I'm sorry. If there are no other further questions, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve to the objection of the annexation.
Madam Chair, I move to object to the annexation with the understanding that our legal team and staff will be reaching out to the city of Hampton to work out all difficulties or situations that may arise in this annexation.
Okay, can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Thomas. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. The last item on the agenda is the county attorney, a resolution to accept material terms of the distributor and Janssen settlement pursuant to Georgia Memorandum of Understanding and consistent with the terms of the July 21st, 2021 National Opioid Settlement Agreement. Patrick.
Morning, Chair, board members. As you will recall, the better part of a year and a half or 2 years ago, maybe more than that, the board authorized the county to join in the national opioid litigation that was going on all across the country. The litigation sought to recover the damages that governments at every level have suffered as a result of the opioid pandemic. What has transpired of late has happened relatively quickly. You may have all heard there was one of the companies, the Sackler family company, they filed bankruptcy and their settlement, their opioid litigation exposure will be dealt with by the bankruptcy court, but there's other litigation ongoing as well, primarily against distributors and manufacturers throughout the country. McKesson Corporation, AmerisourceBergen Corporation, Cardinal Health, those are the distributors. The manufacturers include Johnson & Johnson and a number of others. what happened after local governments like Henry County initiated litigation is the states' attorneys general initiated litigation on behalf of states. All of the litigation has essentially been put on hold by the court pending the bigger lawsuits, and by bigger I simply mean the ones with more participants being the states, pending a resolution of the state litigation. There are settlement offers, settlement discussions have taken place, there are settlement offers in place. What the action you're being asked to undertake today is to allow us to join in with the state of Georgia in the settlement of the opioid manufacturer and distributor claims. The way it is working, it's a bit of a, as you might guess, with hundreds, if not thousands of participants, it's a bit of a procedural nightmare. But where it is the attorney generals throughout the states are joining into the settlement on a state-by-state basis. The attorney general in Georgia has not determined whether or not he's going to join in on behalf of the state of Georgia until he knows what local governments, if any, will be joining in. The more local governments that join in, frankly, the more money will flow to Georgia because there's a complex formula about how the money is distributed. There's a set amount of money that will ultimately be distributed. The settlement that we can expect from this litigation, if we join into the settlement, would be somewhere between $1.7 million and $2.8 million total. Now, that's not all going to be paid in one chunk. That's going to be paid over an extended period of time, somewhere between 10 to 12 to 15 years, depending on the exact source of the money. This settlement is, quite frankly, your best hope to recover meaningful money from this litigation. I like to sort of compare it to, if you get notice of a class action and you don't join it, chances are you're never going to recover anything because your expense in litigation will probably far outweigh your damages. We did not quantify exactly the damages Henry County as a governmental unit has suffered, but I can tell you it is difficult to quantify those damages because we don't provide long-term medical care. We provide, the emergency medical care. We take in inmates, we treat those inmates. But that's where this settlement lies today. The attorneys that we retain, Shayna Stacks and her law firm and Roderick Birch and his law firm have all recommended we do this, that we join into this litigation and join in this settlement because it is our best hope to get meaningful settlement proceeds. We are required to notify the Attorney General no later than January 2nd, which is the reason we put it on this meeting. It happened relatively quickly over the past month or so. And it's my recommendation as well. I think in this instance, we are much better off joining with the state and other local governments because the likelihood is this will be the best settlement that's available for anybody. And that's my recommendation, and the resolution is available for you to vote upon.
Thank you, Patrick. So we have a resolution before us. If there's a motion to approve, can I get a motion to approve? Okay, motion by Commissioner Wilson.
No, I have a
Oh,
comment
I'm
for
sorry.
Patrick.
I'm sorry. You had a comment, Commissioner Clemens?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Patrick, I know you said that we had to put this on the agenda for today. So can we make sure that when we have stuff like this, that it's only on the first and third meeting dates and not called meeting dates that are not part of our regular scheduled meetings, so that we can make sure that we handle this type of business?
Absolutely. That works for me. The problem with this one was simply the timing when the notice of the settlement came into us and the expedited response we have to make. So, but as a general rule, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of putting these on sort of these extra meetings. I would much prefer this to have been on one of the regular agendas.
Right. And I'm only asking that because these extra meetings are not mandatory, but these first and third meetings are, and that's the meetings that we need to have the important stuff on. So thank you, Patrick.
Okay, but Patrick, you did ask for it to come on this agenda because of the timing.
That's correct. I mean, this was simply a
I just
matter
want
of
to make sure
necessity.
that's clear.
Right. It was a matter of necessity with when the other parties in the settlement agreements documents came to us and when the deadline is.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion? Motion by
I'm
Commissioner.
sorry to hear.
Ask for a motion. Commissioner Wilson made a motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Cannon. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next regular scheduled meeting is January the 5th of 2022 at 9 a.m. This will be on a Wednesday due to the New Year holiday. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.